Good afternoon, America, and welcome to the World Championship Series for StarCraft 2. I'm your host, Nathanius, joined by In Control. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm good.
No? Too much? I don't know.
I fear for the person that's like,
deeper.
you know what? I'm going to watch some StarCraft for the first time. And they're like, what happened to Nate?
What happened here? I just switch it up. You know, we technically have two shows here. Welcome to the second half of our podcast today.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's a little bit longer than the last one. With our players today, probably not the case. This is WCS America. We have our first group here today playing Group A. The tournament format for these guys, it's going to be best of threes. They're playing for spots in Challenger to get to the playoff bracket for that American champion title. Of course, there is seeding as well as spots to be earned for our upcoming circuit event in Valencia. We're doing it GSL style, baby, with 4 players duking it out. That's 5 best of threes to see who makes it and who doesn't.
Who makes it the better way, I guess, because
Yeah.
there is that open bracket, so it's not the final say per se, but you don't want to be, there's already going to be some really top-notch players in there because it's just such a competitive game right now, but yeah, and you already said more points, and I think a little bit more money. We don't really talk about the money because it's like a couple $100.
We're going to talk about the money, though. We're talking about it anyway.
Do it!
There's still money on the line. $1,600
There it is.
for first place. And WCS points, which, as we all know, are very valuable.
The points,
Very
man.
important.
Aren't they funny? Because it's 3,000 for first at a WCS stop, 30 if you lose here.
Yeah. Outside of the seeding for that, I think it's important. It's more important than it was before because we have the Neeb situation again, where Zeile winning 2 events means that one of those guaranteed spots for a circuit champion is now going to go to a point winner. So that gives the guy who was in last place or just outside last place, now he's in, right? So that's a really big thing to keep in mind. So you get to BlizzCon.
It's going to be interesting, too, because it's at least 1 spot, right? We've only had 2 stops.
And
Zeile
Zeile
winning
keeps
both
winning.
of them.
So here's the schedule for today. Our 4 players, of course, we're going to have MaSa play Zeal, get some Terran versus Protoss in there, get away from that ZVZ we had earlier. And No Regret versus Kane. We go right back into the ZVZ. Don't worry, though. No one in this group really likes to go past 1 base. So I think
Kane does, apparently.
Kane will.
That's what Ravi was saying.
Well, Kane can cheese. Kane can cheese. I mean, MaSa plays good macro games unless he thinks you're better than him. Then he's like, I'm just going to 2-racks every game and win.
But even a good, so Ravi was given some nice little tidbits of information. I guess MaSa's playing from Korea.
Ooh.
For me, if I think MaSa is, if I feel like he's like a goldfish in a bowl. If it moves at all, it turns into like a fighting fish.
Playing from Korea, you've got better ping than half the servers on America. So I'm sure we'll see.
Your soapbox.
I'm sure we'll still see good games out of MaSa.
My point is, he's going to cheese. No way.
Okay, that's fine.
He's not going to be like, I'm in Korea, I'm going to go the distance.
Even if you expect it, it still does very well. MaSa didn't really get as far as maybe we were hoping in Austin, but did make it to the finals of the last Challenger, where he had that very ugly series against Neeb, who still is kind of our American champion.
I enjoyed
Austin
it.
was weird for the Americans, though. All of these players got dumpstered.
They did. So Valencia will be a bit of a like, hey, gut check time, or is it going to be just the year of European dominance?
Yeah, that's the big question as we get ready for our first match, and we quickly cover, I believe, the match format once again for all y'all. Like we said, each of the regions will have group play, as we all know. 4 players in each group, best of 3s, 2 players advance from each group. So very standard. You've seen this before.
Into a playoff bracket where they into these kind of groups.
Playoff bracket where they all play best of 5s.
Best of 5, Nate.
Best of 5s.
Best of 3 has a different.
Yeah, so they only get 1 map veto each.
One
really
map veto.
Changes everything.
A little bit more cheese too.
A little bit more cheese.
A little more cheese in that one.
Yeah. So
that's how I think we should commentate all of StarCraft.
Yeah. Like just go for the ASMR.
Because you got your hype people in Overwatch and stuff like that. They got dancers and cheerleaders and stuff. In StarCraft, this is where 30-year-olds are hanging out still. I think we should drop down the tempo.
30-year-olds?
Yeah, and in Artos' case, 85-year-olds too.
You're right. You're right. There's a lot of people that still like Brood War out there. So, our first matchup, though, we don't get to see.
There are dozens of us.
Literally dozens. There are. I think this is an interesting matchup. A, because of the Korea thing we talked about with MaSa.
Yeah.
B, because Zeal we don't see a whole lot of.
Right.
But as I recall, he's a pretty aggressive player
Cheesy,
himself. Yeah.
But also, we're paid to find it interesting. We have to.
We have to say that it's
cannot go into this and say it's not interesting.
Unless it's Cyril.
Even that we find interesting because of how good he is.
Yeah, that's true. But his matches are boring because he's too good. That's
true.
It kind of goes full circle, but yeah, it's kind of hard to really dissect this before we go into it because we know that MaSa can be so cheesy, and because we have a reason to suspect, we don't have a lot.
The game's not even made.
Yeah, so we're just gonna keep riffing for a little bit. Hopefully, you guys are all having a great. Is it Wednesday? Hope you're having a great Wednesday.
This is a Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesdays are nice.
Even in Europe, it's a Wednesday actually, but not by much. They got about 30 more minutes of this Wednesday, so make it count.
It's not 3 o'clock here. No. 9 hours. They're 9 hours ahead, Jeff.
You have 3 hours and 30 minutes.
There you
Make
go.
it count.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? What would Nate if you had only 3 hours? We're gonna do the tasteless thing, by the way.
Okay. Okay.
The game's not even freaking made. As I said, of course it is. What would you do with your last 3.5 hours, honestly? And if you're the kind of guy that's like, I would eat everyone around me, I want you to tell them. I think it's only fair.
What? That's such a
there's an asteroid
question.
coming. 3.5 hours you got. What do you do?
No.
You don't have an answer?
I don't know. I've never actually thought about that.
Jeez.
No.
That's too bad.
Yeah. The way I see it going down is I'll just probably be like streaming or laddering. My last words will be some sort of meme while I've got a headband on and the meteor hits and I just won't notice.
It probably would be that way, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I would cook like 30 boxes of macaroni and eat myself to death.
No last phone calls. No, we'll go hang out.
That's the beauty of it. You can do all that, of course. Be like, Mom, I love you. Anna, you're great.
After macaroni and cheesing yourself to death.
Yes. Can you imagine?
You're still hung up on this.
And then the asteroid miraculously turns away, but they find me dead with 30 boxes of macaroni.
This is actually relevant because you are hung up on Puck, a WCS America Protoss player who posted a really good tweet last night of his macaroni and cheese while he was playing, I assume playing StarCraft or about to watch GSL. And
oh my God, that hit me right in the feels.
God, now I can't stop thinking about eating macaroni and cheese. That's what I'm going to have for lunch when I get home. Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Well, you have that luxury. I'll do it when I get home too. But like, it hit me at the airport where I'm like kind of hungry, but I'm like, what's available to me? It's like, a burger or something, not macaroni, not like that.
Jeff, if you want to come over, I actually have several boxes of macaroni and cheese.
Might do it.
But you know what? It's a mess, but we can do it.
Before that, we got MaSa versus Zeal. You're saying Zeal who? Well, it's a new face, and that's the beauty of WCS Challenger. If you kick butt enough, you can qualify and probably get eliminated by this. Terran in the lower left-hand side.
I'm messing with the graphic guy by switching it at the last second. Sorry.
I like it. Wearing the blue trunks. Hailing from Korea, Canada, and your heart, it's MaSa.
Dun, dun, dun.
MaSa. Maru Kim. He's almost won $100,000.
That's pretty sick. His opponent in the Northeast, the Red American Protoss player, we have Zeal.
I'm really excited for this right here. Oh.
we put his prize winnings twice.
That's more than I thought. Yeah, it did say it twice, didn't it?
Yeah. Well,
that's not much for further than what I won in my entire StarCraft 2 pro gaming career. So this young man has got a great future ahead of him.
Nice. Maybe one day he'll become a commentator who is hired to make the other commentators' jobs difficult.
Yes. One could dream. Wouldn't that be weird? That would be an interesting year for me, for Jeff. They bring like another funny commentator.
A mini Jeff.
Like they tried it with Rapid. That didn't pan out. That wasn't how it went.
Bringing in Rapid was just like bringing in another not quite as seasoned Nathanius,
Right.
And that was we don't want more of that in a
lot less
professional
seasoned.
commentating.
And then you got TLO at WCS, or no, he's been at a couple events. BlizzCon even, and that almost worked, but not quite either.
Yeah. So 16-bit. There's a lot that you can do on this map aggressively. I think that for me, and I don't know if you can tell me your thoughts on this in Control, but for me, when I see that the Protoss takes the back base, it says like, okay, mind drop them. If they take the forward base, I say do the little Hellion run by thing. You have a couple of different ways to put that pressure on.
I'm not even memeing, honestly, on the Protoss side, and there's a lot better players than me, but the mentality for me is that either of those things are coming anyways. So I don't take my base based off of what I think the kind of harass will be. But to your point, what form of aggression will we see? With a map like this, the kind of funny tendency is you're like, well, I got to get over there because the Protoss could get up to 3 bases really quick and get to 4. It could be really hard. But a lot of times, the really sneaky thing is a Warp Prism in the main and just a crap ton of units at your front door. Now, taking that back base for the Terran player changes that dynamic a little bit more, right? We're seeing some Terran openings where they're getting 3 or 4 tanks out, and that, of course, can be used for aggression, but more often than not is used to secure a third base.
Now the Reapers are going to come up from MaSa, and it's going to go right back down. So sees the Adept, and that can sometimes be a bit of a tell.
Yeah.
I mean, at least for my part, I think you see a lot more Oracles after the Adept opening. This game, it is a Twilight Council, which he is following it up with the Stalker, so could still be like a normal Blink opener, and yet, yeah, that's what it's going to be.
And this is very normal. It used to be you went Robo first, but lately, and by lately I mean for like quite a while now, you just feel very confident in getting out Blink, especially since the Widow Mines in particular reveal themselves after they shoot. So if they get in your mineral line and they kill like a probe or something, you don't care. You go ahead and kill it.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a tech lab though.
Yeah, I was gonna say he puts the factory all the way over here rather than at the ramp, so the Adept would not be able to see it if it was to. And we don't see a tremendous amount of Cloak Banshee, but you know what? In control, I like it.
Yeah, I personally don't. But what I find really shocking to me now, and in this, we still see Banshees. You know, they're rare, I guess, but not that rare. It's like it can not do that much damage at all, but the attack that comes out behind the Banshee is still super impressive. It doesn't feel like it slows Terrans down that much, and then if it does do damage, now you're dead.
Yep.
So I think it's a really nice variable that way.
Yeah, if the Protoss doesn't open Stargate too, it's just nice on this map because you can park it over here, and then the Protoss player has to have Stalkers there forever until, you know, they get cannons later on.
Right.
So it's a good way to keep the Protoss from also pressuring you as much if the Protoss is into that kind of thing. Which I think if you're Zeal, based on what we know about him,
typically, right? But
yeah, he would be
so
aggressive.
Far.
This is very straight up, very standard Protoss opening, right?
Yeah, pretty quick third off the back of just the 1 gateway so far. So again, I give a shout out to my commentator brother Todd as he coined the phrase "la gate explosion" or whatever.
L'explosion des gateways.
Yeah, you did it better than me.
WCS Europe is over, okay?
Got 2 gates. Well, we can still poke fun though, you know. Of course.
That's true. That's true.
Actually 3. I was way off. I was off by 3. But you're gonna want more than this. 3 between 3 bases is nothing. You're supposed to, and then it's a question of how greedy they get, right? Some Protoss players will do double forge right now, and still have no AoE and no real number of gateways, and then other players will play it safer and go up to like 7 or 8 gateways and then add the forges.
I like this Roddy build though. This probe, does it see the Banshee?
Heck yeah, it doesn't.
Did it spot it? No. But I like this. He's going straight into charge behind this. He's got nothing else. Maybe we'll see him slap down 2 forges after he stops the first push. But he's playing a style that will allow him to kind of be everywhere, be very quick.
Well, to your point, what's kind of nice about this is he's continued production off the gateways. So while he doesn't have a lot of gateways, he's been using them on a fairly regular basis. The first Banshee does 3 probe kills. That's nothing. This one is going to get repelled and shot up a little bit. There's the first forge, the second forge. So we'll be the forges before the gateways. And honestly, when you see the Banshees like that, you can kind of do that.
Yep.
And I love that he's getting scouting on the other side of the map too, though. So it's not like he's playing completely blind. If he saw a gigantic force, he could make a different choice.
Yeah, these strategies get very interesting when it comes down to the upgrades as well. If he's allowed to chrono boost out his upgrades, and since he hasn't really taken a whole lot of economic damage, Zeal's going to have a really big gateway explosion later on. I mean, charge zealots, if you can get an upgrade advantage versus the Terran, are phenomenal, considering that they also neutralize the tanks by causing them to kill their own Marines most of the time.
Yeah, no, it's become a really nice, there's been kind of a funny ebb and flow in the meta, right? Like a lot of Protoss were going very tech heavy, so that's where the tanks were in particular very powerful. But because tanks have become more normal, Protoss players are getting back towards the just have a lot of gateways and throw a lot of bodies into them. And to your point, the friendly fire is a big problem, but of course, Zealots don't care about tanks when they get on top of them, so despite the friendly fire, they also just counter the tanks really well.
Yep. It's an interesting way of dealing with it because the siege tanks early on are also nice against the Stalkers, and the way that this map plays is, well, this is it. This is your only entrance to those 3 bases, other than trying to blink up or with a Warp Prism. But it's a very heavy focus on these gateway units. We're not seeing follow-up tech, no Templar Archives, no Robo Bay. Maybe they'll come soon, but this just seems to be, it's going to be Immortal, Zealot, Stalker with a couple of sentries. Of course, Guardian Shield really helps those Zealots a lot.
No gases at the third. So you called it a Roddy build. I don't think you knew how wise you were until this moment right here. He's not even taking the gases. He's just going mass gateways. Really simplifies the game, takes the skill and intelligence out of it. If you can just throw enough bodies at somebody, you can kind of win. Right?
Yeah.
I think that's what Roddy tries to do.
I've hit him a few times on the ladder. More zealots than anybody.
I know.
Anybody. Yeah. Except that one guy that does the mass zealot all in. It's kind of hard to.
About that mass sentry thing, huh?
Yeah.
You were YouTube famous again for about 2 minutes. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's nice.
Banshee pokes prods, didn't get much done. Fourth base going down. This is a oddly macro passive game from both these players. We were kind of like, this is going to be cheesy and hyper aggressive, and then they're like, nah, we're just not going to fight.
Well, and to our credit, this is probably the best map to sit back and play that, that very passive NA style.
It dictates that, I think. You cannot get too aggressive on this map.
Yeah. Yeah,
To do that would be to play with fire.
Very dangerous indeed. But I like everything that Zeal's getting. Getting the Dark Shrine, focusing on the upgrades. MaSa's keeping a good enough pace, though, that he shouldn't fall crazy far behind, even with the way that the Chronos are going, in terms of the upgrades. As long as he keeps getting them.
We'll see. I'm never a fan of the Terran. He's finally finding some purchase here with this Banshee, and it's not like he hasn't been trying to harass, but whenever a Terran just doesn't seem to get much done, and the Protoss is just left chrono boosting whatever the heck they want, going up to 4 bases and building probes and stuff, I don't see Terrans win in that situation very often. It's very hard.
Is that just because MaSa's like, I'm better than you because I'm MaSa and you're Zeal? You're not like a big name NA Protoss. As long as I max out and get the army I want, I can win?
It's the map, but like you were saying, or we were kind of describing, he did try. The Cloaked Banshee is an attempt at getting some harass done. It's just that he faced the standard opening from Protoss, and against Zeal, that might be the kind of guy you're expecting to not face that.
Yeah, well, that Protoss army moving out, it is a big one, and it's pretty much Marines all the way down with siege tanks.
By the way, 2 medevacs now.
Yeah.
So it's got a lot of tanks. It's got some good bio here. The upgrades are really bad. He only has 1 attack. 1 armor is not in production. If I'm no, it is in production.
There's 1 armor. He did get +1 for his tanks as well, so they will kill his Marines faster when the Zealots get on top of them, which is always nice.
I mean, I think the worst thing Zeal could do is attack in this. I would just, here we go.
This is welcome to WCS America, ladies and gentlemen.
This is too much.
The Zealots are going to charge in on top of this. There are enough Marines to clean through a lot of the Zealots, but with the Immortals hitting the back, the Guardian Shield helping out, Zealots, we remember, are good units. And yeah, MaSa gets Shrek'd over there. There's a drop that hits this base. I didn't see a probe death thing, so I guess not a lot of probes must have died. And looks like Zeal in a nice spot here, but probably what's the big weakness here? They didn't take gas on his 3rd or his 4th, right? So he doesn't really have
the transition. So to clarify my point, it was never a question of was he going to win that fight. To me, it was more with how far ahead he was, the best chance MaSa could have of diminishing that army is a head-on, I'm already in siege mode, I'm already spread out.
The Liberator's already
He fights him in transition or gets him to come back to his natural and fights there. I feel like he just wins the game, which he still very well could do, so I am doing that Twitch guy in chat thing where I'm like, well, he's winning, but he could have won by more. It's like, at the end of the day, if he wins, he wins.
Yeah, MaSa's trying to throw down more depots to block this off as he realizes, he's like, yep, charge Zealots, pretty terrifying units, absolutely the last thing that you want to have to deal with in a situation like this, so just keeping that big old wall together so that the siege tanks can be tucked away nice and safely. I think he's on this medevac as well.
To do the full Roddy build, by the way, you have to start adding gases. Like, at some point.
Whew, look at that. He's like, I don't need +3 attack. He's like, who gets that upgrade?
Yeah, going straight for shield. His army is just absolutely ridiculously massive. And what's funny about this is he's actually only on 55 workers. So you look at the army, you're like, that looks ridiculously big. It is. But he's making this really weird choice. He only has 55 probes. He's not making any more, so he actually can't take the gases because he doesn't have the guys for it. So if MaSa can identify this, which with his drops he kind of did, and just really turtle.
He didn't get this gas either. He's been playing this whole game off 3 gases.
He might win, but I'm gonna do that thing. I'm gonna be that critical commentator. It's bad. It's just not. It's not good.
We're in NA. It's okay.
No.
These are where we get the weird games. This is where all the weird games come from.
You're gonna trigger the people again, where they're like,
I'm NA.
Talk about NA like the.
I am NA, and I recognize that things are a little different over here when it comes to StarCraft.
So MaSa hasn't recognized, I would say, by the way, because to move out is like the one opening that Zeal has.
He's not gonna win a fight against this much stuff. I do like this though. He brings the Prism into the main. If he gets it past the turret, all hell will break loose, right? So with all those zealots, all those warp gates, 8 Marine drops going to land inside of his base, but these zealots are going to do some good work.
Yeah.
That warp prism, of course, is going to be...
And this is the part that confuses me. So again, Zeal's in a good spot, but as the game goes, his ability, his options on what he can do are closing. Holy cow, Nate, you got to go back to the big fight. Whoa!
He's just going
It's
right
just
in there.
tanks. They're all going to die. But here's the drop from behind, and the SCV's taking their own damage quite well there. Huge supply advantage for MaSa now.
There's just no follow-up.
MaSa loses 20 SCVs and still is ahead in one.
His strategy was completely based around just killing him with giant zealot warplanes to follow up.
But you're exactly right, Nate. The weirdest part to me, though, is it's as if he's playing like a handicap game. He's like, I'm going to take no gases and do this with gateway units. And his opponent's like, why'd you tell me that?
It's like, well, all I got to do is sit back with a bunch of siege tanks and marines and I can actually fight this.
Look at this. And Zeal's floating 1,000 minerals, so he's got money to use on units, but he's like, I guess I just warp in more zealots and stalkers.
Yeah.
And as the 3-3 starts to come in from MaSa, which was not fast at all, his upgrades are quite slow.
In Zeal's defense, this is one of those things where you're like, this strategy is weird enough that considering the fact that he shouldn't be able to beat MaSa in a head-to-head game. Come on.
Yeah, of course he can. He was beating him. If he kept making probes,
this style was very different,
Nate.
and that opening gave him the leverage to get into that position.
I'm going to disagree. He opened normal. He defended against the harass, and because he stopped making workers, he has no transition. That was it. He didn't have to do this, is my point. He chose to, and now he's dead. MaSa will make him pay.
Rip and pepperoni. GG. MaSa takes game number 1.
Oof. That is you went to a fast food restaurant, ordered your meal, and you got all this good food. Then you get to the burrito at the end. They're like, this is what I really came for. Open up, and it's filled with cockroaches. And you're like, why'd you do that? That was not good. That's what that was.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say Zeal was like the guy who ordered, and he got the burrito, and he's like, actually, I'm just going to get more fries.
Okay, that works actually better. He's like yeah, he just keeps ordering the meal, and they're just like, all I want's the fries. All I want's the fries. They're like, sir, but there's more to it than that. Just give me the fries.
It's like, well, it's not really a well-balanced diet to have there if you're only eating the French fries.
And I like, by the way, I actually like when I cast with Nate that we can disagree or even talk about this. I think that's more interesting. But for me, just to kind of go back to it one last time, and then I promise I won't completely fixate on this, but his opening, completely standard. He defended all the harass, and then to Nate's point, he went all in on the, like, I'm going to kill you thing, but he actually did such a good job of shutting down the harass, and then he won that fight.
Yeah.
But then the map just gives you 3 bases. So Terran loses the fight and is just like, oh no, but I'll sit behind my wall and defend, and then I have what it takes. Now, if Zeal would have just kept making probes up to like 75, and then after that been like, let's put down the 6 gases, a Templar, and like triple robo, and then he wins. Or at least
I'll give you that. When he knocked him off, when he won the big fight and he was outside the third killing the depots, that I think would have
take the gases.
Take all the gases, get a Templar Archives.
Yep.
Or get a second robo, and you know what I mean.
Transition.
Do something else.
So yeah, but what's kind of interesting too, we're putting it all on Zeal. MaSa did do a good job of identifying what was happening. It did take a hard lesson, right? Like he lost his army in the middle of the map pretty hard. But then from there, realized that the game was then a matter of him surviving. He did a couple of those drops and saw the lack of gas. He saw the lack of probes. And a lot of other players, in the heat of the moment, would still just be like, oh no, I need to get out there and fight because I need to win. But no, he just kind of turtled up, and that was that.
All right, we're loading into the next map. And I do think it's kind of weird. I feel like Zeal almost puts himself at a disadvantage by showing that strategy on that map, because I think the map we're going on to now, Acid Plant, I think would be so much better for that. Just because if he wins a fight in the open, he could choose to go to the natural or the third, whereas, as we saw on 16-bit.
Well, if he picks off MaSa's third on a map like this, then all of a sudden you still could not take the gases and probably win because the Terran's down to 1 base.
Yeah.
Or 2. Whoa, did you do that on purpose?
What? No, I just like messing colors. I was just fixing everything.
Okay.
I didn't change the interface until we were in game because I'm not a professional observer.
Nate's been like 30 seconds between games. I forgot who these guys are. Who are they?
Well, this guy, he's a Terran player. He's wearing the color red. In case you're also blind, Jeff.
I might be.
And his name is MaSa. And his opponent is dressed in blue, by the way. He's in the northwest spawn. He's playing Protoss, and his name is Zeal.
There we go. Down to the one listing. Whoa, his name's Valentin. I like that name. It's a cool name.
I knew a Valentino once.
Valentino?
Yeah.
I like. There's some of these really epic names out there. I don't begrudge my parents giving me the name Jeff, but it happens a lot. There's a lot of people.
You
that
have
do
a
that.
pretty. I think your Jeff is pretty cool though.
I have a unique take on it.
Your mother could have very easily given you the JEFF treatment, and I think that would have been way less badass than the G off.
Right.
Partially because it looks cool, but also now everyone just mispronounces it forever.
Forever. It extends almost every phone call to any company I've ever made in my life by at least 15 more seconds.
Yeah.
Can I get your name? Jeff. And then I give this is what I do. I give a pause and I go, with a G. Because I know that they've written it out 5 letters or so. And then I make them delete it and rewrite it. It's a little bit of a power game. I just kind of want them to know that I'm in control. I'm in the driver's seat there.
Yeah. I only have to deal with people that didn't pass English that put the E in the end of Nathan, which I don't think has ever been officially used anywhere.
Are you serious? Is that really something that happens?
I get that, man.
The E at the end.
You better believe I use that to get a free second coffee at Starbucks.
Yeah.
I throw that straight in the trash.
Don't even drink it. You just throw it out because you're like,
Just,
I just like seeing them make it.
I show them my gold card. I say, who do you think you're messing with right now?
That's right.
Where did you ever see Nathan spelled with an E at the end?
Well, we just made ourselves sound like
Top
the most
notch.
privileged people on the entire planet of Earth, but
We do get to talk about
Promise you,
StarCraft for a living, Jeffrey.
at least I'm joking. I'm not sure about Nate entirely, but I don't actually do what I said. So here's a different opening coming out from MaSa.
different opening out of Zeal as well.
Yeah, Robo before. And he's actually already narrowing down the space in case it is a Hellion. Did he see it, Nate, in the middle of our jokes? Did he see the factory?
Nope, he saw nothing.
He just knows that on this map it's possible. I like it.
Yeah, well, he can't take the pocket base on this map, unfortunately.
And a Warp Prism, by the way. Both these guys are going to get aggressive here.
Ooh. I was expecting the Twilight and just see him go mass elements. I was waiting for it. His name has Zeal in it, right? So it fits. It makes sense.
Yeah, that's true.
Zeal's a word for like fast, right, or something like that.
Zeal means
Vigorous.
not really. You describe doing something with zeal, and that can describe what you're saying. But zeal itself basically means you like are a firm believer in it, like you really believe.
Okay. Well,
Someone's correcting me right now. Wow, Merriam-Webster said. Like, well, okay, guys, come on. I don't have the definition right in front of me. This gets spotted immediately. That's the worst. That's one of, by the way, as a Protoss player, when something just pulls up in front of your Warp Prism and you're just like, really? Of all the places.
because there's no cliff on this map, by the way, he actually just can't get in. He has to blow stuff up. Can you Reaper Grenade a Hellion across?
Sure. Oh, a Hellion? I don't know. That'd be really crazy.
That would be the coolest thing ever. I mean, the Stalker would then kill it, but it would be the coolest thing ever.
I think it was at Austin, Special tried to do it was really funny. It didn't matter at all, and nobody really caught on to this, but he tried to do an escape with his Reaper and killed himself with the grenade. I thought it was really cute.
The Siege Tank isn't out yet, and the Prism is here with all these Stalkers in the Sentry. The SCVs are finally pulled, thankfully, just in time. He broke open the
and
wall,
these are
by the way.
Stalkers, so they don't do damage, actually.
Yeah, they actually do not deal damage. So he's losing a few probes back home. He gets the lock on with the Cyclone, really important. It's going to force that Warp Prism to move back a little bit. Siege Tank is finally out.
Man.
He killed 5 probes with that. And
Yeah.
there was a Stalker there the whole time. Nice, nice.
And he's equal in workers.
Well,
And now he's stuck, and here's the worst part. He's stuck on a bunch of Stalkers. So if behind this there's a... Whoa.
what are you doing?
Okay, that guy didn't want to see any more life. He's like,
That's a
done!
free Cyclone.
I'm done!
Why not drop it? Drop it right above the tank. We'll drop it on the tank.
But that's
or I
the
guess
end.
go to the back of the base.
That is the end of the aggression, unless he wants to do some Warp Prism. I do like his follow-up here, though. It's going to be Robo Bay.
What do you think?
Go into
+1
Colossus.
attack, Colossus?
Yep, +1 attack. That's the other kind of cool thing that's been happening lately. It used to be you always went armor,
Yeah.
and now people are going attack. And there's not, by the way, so if someone sells you on a story about how things have changed, not really. It's just that people are like, attack's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, if you're not relying on the Zealots to be like the unkillable, monstrosities, then that attack upgrade is nice for the Colossus.
That's what I'm saying, though.
And the Stalkers.
No, it was always that way. Like any
yeah, that people have been
it doesn't
doing
affect
that.
disruptors. There's no new unit.
People have been doing that forever. That was always, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Oh, there is armor, by the way. So.
I think that probably plays more into, yeah, it does end up being armor, but I think that plays more into people probably not seeing it as much because people didn't build Colossus for like the first year and a half of Legacy of the Void after they nerfed them.
Maybe. For me personally, I think it's a weird, and there's obviously no proof for this, but just my opinion, I think it's a weird like mental unlock. Like you just thought you couldn't go attack because everyone went armor. And then people started going attack and they're like, you know what? It's actually pretty good. It's not necessarily better, it's just not worse. It's pretty much the same. So people start doing it. How scary is a gateway, by the way, if you look at that? Just a freaking black hole above it.
Can you imagine like running by that as a Marine?
No.
Like, the idea, like you're like, what if this just sucks me in?
Yes.
Where will it send me?
How do they know? I mean, here we are.
It's really terrifying.
With the collider that we're building in Europe. Thankfully, it's in Europe, so if something really does go wrong...
If we open a warp gate and Zealots come out, they're going to charge over Europe first.
Doom, the movie, starts pouring out of the portal, and we're like, you know what? We got about a month before it gets here to America, so let's just kind of, let's see how it plays out.
See how fast the monsters learn to swim over the ocean.
You guys, could you please help us? There's demons and stuff. And we're like, well, I'll tell you what. We're going to send you a better trade agreement, and if you guys put a Walmart or two into like Berlin or something. Yeah, sure, Walmart, but please, there's demons.
Can you just get rid of your worker rights, you know?
And now Moss is in a weird spot, too. He needs to spot the Colossus. It's Marine on the right side. I think it shoots a pylon. Like, you know what? I'm going to do more with my life.
Now he's going to die a horrible, painful death.
Also, Psyblades. Can we talk about that? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I can't imagine being just the idea of a... Because Zealots are like 2 meters tall, right? Or something like that. They are significantly bigger than a Marine. And that thing is charging at you with giant lightsabers on its hands. Like, I am going to rip you into pieces.
Yeah, and it's not fair either, because in the lore, the Space Marine gun has a grenade launcher, but in the game, they don't let him use it. Not
until they're eaten alive and then spat out as zombies.
Well, then you don't care anymore. It's like the balance of the game doesn't matter, so you just do it.
Infested Terrans don't care about game balance. That's why they get to use the grenade launcher.
Not weird, though. It takes Tyranids, or not Tyranids, excuse me, Zerg from, they got to infest you and turn you into a zombie, like you were saying, and then you can do something. Yeah. Kind of makes you wonder if being dead's really not that bad of a deal.
Well,
does it make you wonder that?
You don't have to follow the rules, I guess. So he's going to come down and fight this with slow Zealots.
Oh my god.
The Colossus are still getting some work done.
Are they though? Those are Colossus, dude. They don't. Stalkers and Colossus is literally a harmless army.
Yeah. Well, no charge.
A
bunch of Zealots walk into a bar. I don't know. Sorry.
Walk very slowly into that bar.
Well, that happened.
Games like that make our job really hard. Because you and I are funny and we're talking about other stuff, but can you imagine if we're like, okay, here he goes into 5 tanks down a ramp into the concave and he's flattened. That's cheap, Nate. What a game.
The Zealots moving very slowly. They're almost at the army, but they're not going to get there because they don't have charge, and it's... Damn, there you go. No.
You ever had that dream where you're like running through mud that was all those Zealots are like, damn, these tanks hit hard.
That's exactly what it feels like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so Zeal.
Well... That's the first match of the day. MaSa moves up to the winner's match, unsurprisingly. That first game had some potential to be interesting.
Have we mentioned that StarCraft 2 is free to play right now? So if you're watching this and you're like, I can do that. I could get the game. It's free.
Yeah, exactly. If you think you can research charge, hit us up on StarCraft2.com. I'm pretty sure that's the URL. And join today. Yeah. So with that being said, that brings us to our next match. I think we're going to take a look at the schedule. We're going to get into No Regret versus Kane, which may possibly be even faster. No Regret known for his monstrous cheese. Kane known for...
Not as best as EVZ.
No, not at all.
Which, you know, we're guaranteed a non-EVZ after that. Actually, 2 of them, so that'll be fun.
All right, we're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, No Regret versus Kane.
This poor town has seen its share of trials.